I follow my heart. Sacred trust, yeah.
Sacred trust.
As far as the eye can see.
I remember the music video, like here now. Like I can't remember last week, but I can remember music videos from the early noughties, like yesterday.
Oh yes. Welcome to the Sheer Lux Team Podcast with me, Charlotte Collins. This week I'm joined by Polly Sayer, Harriet Russell, and Sherri Andrew. Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
I'd love to say it's a lovely spring day, but yet again, it's not. It's getting quite, there was a point, I feel like in March when it was a bit funny, it was like, oh, when's this going to end? And I feel like it's actually really not funny anymore.
It's a bit of a sick joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
At this point.
It's very rude.
It's
actually
really
just rude now.
It's just so hard. Like, I can't get dressed anymore because I cannot look at my winter wardrobe anymore. But like, you need a coat
I'm
today.
just out of ideas at this point.
Totally out of ideas.
Yeah, and I don't know, it's just like, is it too much to ask just for a little bit of consistency? Well, I was just saying this to B before we came, that I really find it annoying that there's no one to complain to about the weather, as in like to write a strongly worded email and be like,
I so
sort
agree.
it out.
It's not fixable.
It's not fixable.
Yeah.
It's just like a problem that's never going to end.
Like looking for a solution, but there just isn't one.
Yeah.
I find shoes so difficult, but you've braved just like a sockless look
and
today.
you can tell that my feet are fucking freezing
Are
because
you?
they're
Are your
like
feet
pale
cold?
and ugh.
And are they really cold today?
Yes, they are. Actually, I have
this
to
is
say.
it. So like, you can't wear sandals, you can't wear anything sockless. I'm not wearing boots. Like, I just
No,
can't.
it's not
Like,
boot
Harry
season.
Russell, I just can't do it to myself.
But you know what it is?
It's
It's because I know later I have
be
to go into
cold.
town, and I know that when I go into town at 6:30, the weather is like double blobs on the BBC.
yeah.
So I'm like, I don't care that it's sunny at
You
9
just need to
a.m.
be dry.
I need to be prepared for later.
Well, that's why I'm just wearing trainers every day. But like, I
be a
just don't
trainer.
only want to wear trainers every day. Like, there are other.
I do like
shoes
those,
I wear.
those Salomons.
Thanks so much.
Do show us your
Very
Salomons.
nice.
But these are my Salomons. No,
Or Solomons.
you're not on a Lux Girl channel. You're on Sheer Lux. But
She's just bridging the gap.
bridging the gap. To be fair, I bought them before Sapna. So
Well, then.
who's the real?
Who's the real Lux
real
girl?
Lux
James
girl?
Edge over here. That, you know what, I just needed a comfy trainer, and I'm just not like a samba girl. It's really just so not my vibe. Like, I appreciate them on other people, but like that kind of basketball sneaker just isn't really my thing. So I was very happy to see a new like sporty.
Yeah, I feel like this
thing.
is quite your vibe.
It is
more
my vibe,
like
yeah.
edge.
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
Very
A little
cool.
bit tougher. So I'm really enjoying them. They tore my foot up for maybe like the first two
Oh,
wearings. No, but now they're
shame.
so amazingly
It
comfortable.
really annoys me when trainers rub your feet, because that really is
so
like
counterintuitive.
literally,
Right.
yeah. Like the
Yeah.
one thing they shouldn't be is uncomfortable.
It's so
like
true.
fair enough, you know, a pair of heels, you might understand it.
Yeah.
It's always really different for different people though. I can remember when I
true.
bought my Veas like 10,000 years ago, and people were like, oh, what have you done that for? They're so uncomfortable.
And you were
mine
fine.
Yeah,
from
do
day
you know
one.
what? That's so interesting because Maya's on the hunt for the Hermes sheep, which is CHYPRE, which is, you know, the big chunky Hermes sandals that were a very big hit last summer with the big H and then the big strap, like Velcro strap
Yeah.
across them. You obviously have found them like unbearably uncomfortable.
Yeah, I have actually.
And so I was saying that to them, I was like, listen, you know, Polly finds them really uncomfortable before you buy them. She said they're really painful. And so we were talking about last summer's dad sandals, and I was saying my Chanel sandals, which I invested in last summer, when I say they are like the most comfortable things in the entire, forget any pair of trainers, like they are my ultimate comfort thing. And she was saying that her friend can't wear them for like more than 5 minutes.
Must
They rip
be
her feet
like-
apart.
Must be your
shape-
foot.
Must
shape.
be your
foot,
feet.
yeah.
I wonder if like I've just got quite like bony bits here. 'cause
high
that's where
arch,
they
yeah.
where the sheep sandals rub me. But I have spoken to a few different people and they've said, yeah, like I find the same thing. Like they're beautiful shoes and I still wear them, but like I've never quite broken them in, which is really quite annoying for a shoe like that.
Price, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I do feel like the Chanels you can break in.
Yes, I agree, but yeah, it's so super annoying.
I know.
Beautiful shoes.
Do you ever find that you spend, like, I obviously bought those Chanels last year, and now I can't even begin to imagine spending that amount on a pair of sandals. And I don't know why sometimes, in some, maybe it's just what's going
the
on in your
hype,
year.
surely, yeah.
It must be.
That just like clouds, it's not clouds your judgment, but it just like, it stops you thinking in literal terms.
Yeah, I feel a bit sick about that. And I've worn them to death. Like, I don't regret the investment, but I'm just not sure I would do the same again this year.
Well, have you got anything like on your wish list particularly for
My
this
wish
year?
list is, I'm in a place today in particular where I would just throw away my entire wardrobe and start again. So I'm not really in the headspace to talk about it. I just like hate everything. Okay, the few things I need. I really need a casual jacket for the weekend because a lot of my jackets are blazers. I've obviously got this, but I'm finding that's a lack, like an in-between jacket.
Yeah, if the sun arrives, that's going to look wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just heavy. It's just a bit hot.
What about like you're quite good with like a little quilted vibe,
Yeah,
aren't you?
but I think I need something more like the Frankie Shop bomber, but just not that because there's just a lot of those. But I I do love that.
Maybe just a bomber of some kind.
bomber.
The
I think
Acne
it's
bomber's
yeah.
big, isn't it? That's everywhere at the
Yeah,
moment.
it is. And I quite like the kind of varsity look. But again,
Yeah.
bit
Yeah, that's cool.
upscale,
Yeah, the
perhaps.
Celine one. Although you found an amazing dupe for that at Gap.
Oop, yeah,
Yes.
at Gaff. It was actually a really great one. I think it's since sold out because it is such a good dupe. But
Such
yeah.
an influencer.
I can't claim it was entirely me. I don't think it was. But if you'd like to think it was me, sure, I'll claim it.
I bought some white jeans yesterday.
Oh, yeah, nice.
From Ray. Like
This
some-
is, I'm fascinated about the white jeans debate because
yeah.
I just cannot wear them.
Really?
But I
Sausage
just
skin, it's just not.
Oh, I feel
attractive.
these are like really baggy, the ones I bought.
Okay.
Like really, they're for like to
Yeah.
wear with like a heel, a little, really pointy toe poking out.
Nice.
They're like quite boyfriend. They're quite
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
You quite like a skinny jean. I feel like
Yeah.
white skinny jeans are just not.
I am
really
getting
a vibe.
more into wide jeans. I have one blue pair and then I bought like a darker wash a few weeks ago. But weirdly, I haven't worn the darker wash yet. I find the footwear tricky when you're a commuter.
I couldn't agree
Yeah,
more.
true,
And that's
true.
and like that's why you need that little heel poking, which actually brings me to my next thing that I want, which is a new pair of low pointy heels.
Yeah.
There's a Jacquemus pair
Ooh,
that
yeah.
are really
Okay,
cool.
nice.
Yeah, because I think you need that little thing pointing out.
Just to give you a
Yeah.
bit of
Yeah, that little bit of like I don't know.
I
Sorry,
just
but-
hate the whole
yeah.
like Succession-esque, trainers for the subway.
I know.
debate.
I know. Well, hence, but if you're a commuter, it's
I know,
very
it's
hard.
just
Wait,
Yeah,
just
it's
gonna get on with
the
it.
trainers for the subway debate is: should you wear trainers like on your route to work and change into?
It's
smart
not really
shoes?
a debate from Succession. It was a derogatory remark made in the capaciously
Ludicrously capacious.
Yeah, that's
bag.
right, yeah.
Exactly.
And either Tom or someone says like, "What's she got in there? Trainers for the subway."
Yeah, it's like it's a diss for us
Yeah.
commuting gals.
As in, you're less stylish, you're not as rich, blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Right.
I know.
Which I know is just real life, but
It is.
Yeah.
I know.
it's
Well,
just
really
faff
hard.
more than anything. Like
Yeah.
having to constantly take 2 pairs of shoes.
But
Yeah,
that's why
it
again
is.
it brings us full circle back to the weather, because you can wear a lovely elegant ballet flat like Polly's wearing today if it's not too cold to have your ankles out.
yeah, or a
You're
sandal.
wearing very nice new jeans today.
Thank you. Yeah, I bought the Citizens of Humanity Ayla jeans, which I've seen Monique and Angie Smith, amongst other people, sporting recently, and they came back in stock on net, and they're just a really good, quite barely baggy shape with a big turn-up cuff at the bottom, which I think is what sold them to me, which you can adjust, by the way. I think people would have been like, oh, are they fixed at one cuff length? But yeah, they're just great, and you can wear them all rolled down, and the wash is perfect. I'm very happy with them, actually.
We were laughing over the weekend, weren't we, about just what is it, half an inch of skin, how it just
Literally.
completely changes an outfit. And
Yeah, it's so interesting. So when they arrived, they were rolled up considerably more, and I was like, ooh, no, this is like fascinating how they looked way like less cool at that strange length on me, and then just a little turn down, just like hitting the ankle a bit more. I was like, yeah, now these are more of a vibe,
a bit more fashion.
Yeah. But yeah, I just love how baggy and comfy they are.
Yeah.
They're like massively man repelling, but when did I ever care about
I was
that?
going to say, that's what the
Yeah.
best things are. Sherri, have you bought anything recently?
I have, well,
Tell
as
them
we
about
know,
this jacket.
Yeah, can I say a lot of love for your other jacket?
Yeah,
you are a
cute.
jacket queen currently, because on TikTok, that
Really?
that pink one,
oh, that's from All Saints.
lovely,
come on,
All
very
Saints.
nice. Lot of love for that on
great.
TikTok.
I just love a jacket. And this one I actually got in Madrid in a flea market.
Oh,
It was
cute.
€20.
Can you describe it to people listening?
Yes, if you're listening, it's like a quilted. It's actually double-sided, reversible.
Stop. Two
I'm not
jackets.
sure about. There's blue inside. There is like a cream on the outside with this kind of print of a
It's like an eye cash, isn't it?
yeah, and it's got
Icat.
this kind of
Like cat print.
Yeah, it's that style of
Eye
print.
cat's like
that.
this.
Yeah.
Never heard of that, but every day's a school day.
there we go.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's got some little toggles, and it's just really comfy.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
really nice.
Yeah, it's
really
just
nice.
a good find.
Bargain as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, €20. I was like, and
Yeah,
they had
clean.
them in every single colour and matching bags and makeup bags. I was like,
Oh,
ooh.
it's quite overwhelming.
Take my money.
Yeah, exactly. Take money now. So that's what I bought recently. Otherwise, I'm all over Vinted at the moment.
Yes,
Yes.
both you two with
Need
your
your
vintage
tips.
finds. Yeah.
My tips would be go so specific.
Okay.
And always sort from newest first, because that's when you get the good stuff. Because I feel like on Vinted things sell out really quickly,
Yeah.
so you've got to be on there. So if you want a particular Zara jacket in your exact size, for example, you've got to set your alerts, be on there. And I honestly scroll it like I scroll Instagram and TikTok.
Really?
So that was going to be my question. Are you just browsing, hoping to find something you like, or are you looking for something very specific? You're shaking your head.
Specific, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this was my latest Vinted find, £7.
For those listening.
Yeah, for those listening, it's a fringe jacket, very similar to the Marge one. The Marge one was not in my budget. H&M came out with this, which was about $49.99, I think, on site, sold out immediately. I had alerts on that, but nothing. So I went on Vinted and I literally put in the search terms, like you've just said, H&M fringe jacket beige wool, because that was the description on the web.
So you used
website.
their description.
Yeah. And same as Sherri, I saw newest first because, as Sherri explains, like it's all the trend pieces. So these people list them and they sell. They list them and they sell. Yeah. And this one came up in a small, which I was a bit nervous about, but success. And it was £7.
That's great.
Because the girl selling it
good.
had worn it twice before.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's really
£7.
good.
And can we talk about haggling on there? Because I feel like people will always try and haggle you down. Do you do that?
Sometimes, but I don't people take the piss.
Yeah.
They
Is
really
it
do.
like Depop where people are a bit
No.
pissy?
No,
It's a lot safer.
so different to Depop.
Oh, really?
It's very,
Yeah. I hate
think
Depop.
safer.
I won't use it.
Yeah, well,
Really?
ditto. I had
Okay.
terrible
I've
experiences.
had
with Depop.
identity stolen on
Me too,
there,
I have-
PayPal's hacked on
Yeah,
there.
yeah, me too. Me too. It's
It was
terrible.
really
yeah.
terrible.
Yeah,
Vinted
really bad
is
experience.
so secure. You explain.
It's really secure. Well, there's this buyer protection scheme, so oh my god, I should be doing the PR.
Oh,
I
no.
know.
This sounds like
If
an
you're
advert. It's not.
listening. So everything's really safe and secure, and nothing. It's all on the app, so you're never going to be like fleeced. And when you get the item, if you're a buyer, you have to say yes, I've got this. Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
And then the seller gets their money. So you're never going to
So
be.
they hold the cash before.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
And they
There's
send
a
you,
middleman.
it's really like instantaneous. I don't know, like all the tracking is so impressive
It
because
is
they
good.
send the seller a shipping label and then they track that. So they know that when it's been delivered and they instantly send you, the buyer, a message saying, is everything okay?
Great.
And you just click yes or no and then, it delivers
Oh,
their
that's a
cash.
really good system.
Really
You've used it?
Yeah, I've sold things on there, and I've had one experience buying which wasn't great actually. It was a pair of silver Zadig and Voltaire leather trousers before I bought my rotate ones, and I'd found them on there for like £100 brand new with tags, and they were like £750 new or something. And I was like, oh my god, bargain of the century, but they never arrived.
Oh no!
I know, real shame.
So what happens then? You just get refunded?
I got
or something?
refunded. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
she said it had been posted, and then it just got stuck in transit, whether she ever posted it or whether it genuinely did get lost. But it's very unfortunate because I was quite excited about those trousers.
Yeah,
that's
shame.
the worst.
I
when they don't
know,
come.
I know, but I have since filled my silver trouser.
The other
Yeah,
thing that I
yeah.
think
So-
is so good about Vinted is the seller never finds out your full address.
Oh, really?
Oh wow! So
Yeah,
it's
that's
done.
true.
I guess they act as a full middleman. That's really clever.
Yeah,
that's really
they
good.
like Vinted are the ones printing the labels.
Okay.
And so you just take it to the drop-off point, whatever it is, and then they print the
I like
label. So there's never
like a more
any
legit
like
operation.
you know, like an eBay or whatever, you'd have to
Yeah.
send them your address.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
If you're
No,
worried
that is
about
clever.
that.
Yeah.
That is clever.
Yeah.
Hidden gems.
Good to
So
know.
many
So what else
hidden
have you got? You got your jumpsuit.
Got a jumpsuit. I got these Adidas Gazelles in cream. These were £10.
Oh my gosh, Sherri!
This is what I'm saying. The prices,
Oh,
and I didn't
ridiculous.
haggle. I was like, yes,
I was gonna say,
straight
I
in my
don't think you need
basket.
to haggle on
Well, it's
there
that
at all.
cheap. It's
Yeah,
like,
you're not going to haggle down for
No.
nothing. I definitely am going to spend enough
No.
money on Vinted.
Yeah, I know.
Trainers are
Fascinating.
I
good.
honestly find it like quite a relaxing thing
I
actually
bet.
in the evenings.
Therapy.
Just like you've got whatever on the telly.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
love it.
Browsing Vinted.
I do that with furniture. I do that with Vinteria. Like
Oh,
a
yeah, I
lot
like
of
Vinteria.
Vinteria.
That's a different price point.
Are they linked, Vinteria and Vinted? Like, are
I
they
don't
part of the
know.
same company? Because like,
I don't know.
Is it Vinted? What's it Vinted dot?
Co.uk.
Because Vinteria's .co, which I always find.
Oh, maybe it's not really.
Yeah,
maybe not.
so-
But they some good bits on Vinteria.
Yeah, really good bits. Yeah, that and First Dibs, which is a whole other.
Whole
But
other price
mine
point.
it's furniture porn, isn't it? It's heaven.
Ugh, sexy.
Very sexy. So you bought a jacket. Excellent. Anyway, that was all a bit of preamble. What has everybody been up to recently? Sherri, you were somewhere. It popped off my TikTok. Where have you been?
Oh, I went to Madrid for a weekend, which was so fun. I'd never been before.
So isn't Madrid the best city? Obviously, I went
yeah.
for work last year. For those who remember, Lou and I went for BTS, and it's the best city.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
And I said to Tor, have you been? Because I know she'd been a few times. And she said Madrid is like the bride, and Barcelona, if you've been, is like the bridesmaid.
Yeah,
a
it's
little
younger.
bit younger.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, oh, love that analogy.
yeah.
And I agree. It's very classy. The shopping, as you know. I mean,
It's
I went for
great,
the
yeah.
more like pre-loved market, flea
unfortunately,
market
I
thing.
actually didn't get a chance. We literally only went to El Corte Inglés, which is what we were going for. So unfortunately, I didn't see the rest. But so that's cool.
So is Vintage big there?
I think so, yeah. It has the
right.
biggest flea market in Europe.
No way.
It's huge. So we were on a tour and they were like, we'll see you in an hour and a half. And I was like, oh, no, 20 minutes will be fine. 20 minutes in, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much jewellery, sunglasses,
Amazing.
jeans,
That's so cool.
jackets like this, kind of
Where
like
is it?
handmade
Like in the
stuff.
city centre?
It's in the city centre, It's only on a Sunday.
Okay.
I would say get there as early as you can
Sure.
because it gets really crowded.
Right.
And then you can kind of go to a little tapas bar off the side street,
Okay.
have some padron peppers and a
Love
beer.
that.
Such a nice vibe.
So nice.
So that was
And where did
lovely.
you stay and where did you eat?
We stayed at the Four Seasons. It was very kindly hosted by Press Trip. But we went to like a flamenco show. That was amazing.
So
we had a
nice.
tour of the Royal Opera House, and we got to see where they do the costumes and the wigs and like the makeup and the hair. They literally make the wig hair by hair.
Wow.
Blew my mind.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Very historical building.
That's so cool.
And the weather was not like this. It was like 24 degrees.
Oh,
Yeah.
Perfection,
stunning.
not too hot.
Madrid, I think, is like one of the points in Europe, like Madrid and Seville are like the super hot place. Like, you know, they get hot before
hot,
everywhere
yeah.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
So we had a Madrid guide. It will be live by the time this podcast goes out. And I was very pleased to see that a restaurant that we went to, Molde Movimiento, made the list. And I can't recommend that highly enough if you are going to Madrid. It was super cool.
Lovely.
One restaurant I would also recommend, this pronunciation is going to be so bad, I'm so sorry. My Spanish friends, La Concine de Frente, which is near the Central Park. And it was so lovely. It's very small in there. As you know, if you've been to Spain, lunch starts at like 3 or 4, so it's quite late. It's tapas bits, but everything it's mostly vegetarian. So it had like this amazing tartare, which was made from tomatoes, but it didn't taste like beef, but it had the same kind of texture. So that was really interesting. A really nice wine list. If you want just a very chilled lunch in the sun, I'd highly
Lovely.
recommend.
And Rye?
Yes, Rye was lovely. So we went there at the weekend, just for the day. It was sunny. I think there's not that much to do, to be fair, but you can kind of walk to Camber Sands, go to the interiors shops and have a little walk around. We went to a fish and chip shop, which was lovely. I was horrified though, because this boy very sadly dropped his saveloy on the floor, and within seconds a seagull swooped, picked it up. Honestly, the saveloy
They
was
don't
about
mess
10
around,
inches.
do they?
Did not mess around.
They know what they're doing.
No. And I was like, I'm not sure that bird should be eating pork.
No, probably
But,
not. It's not part of the natural ecosystem and things,
exactly. That was quite concerning. But if you're not afraid of birds, then yeah, it's a lovely day out. Very quaint.
Yeah, don't go.
Yeah, very
Polly,
quaint.
you were in Lisbon.
Yes, I was.
Like, I don't think you've been on the podcast since you were last there.
Yes, a couple of weeks ago now. It is just remains one of my favourite cities, maybe even my favourite city in Europe. It's just a really great vibe, like great food, great people. You can get to the beach like really easily, which is what we did on one day. The weather was like stunning, especially for this sort of time of year. Went back to a restaurant called Danoi, which I mentioned on my I think at some point that I was going to, and it did not disappoint. And it was really sweet because it was like our second time there, and they were like, "Oh, welcome back. Remember me from last time?" I was like, "Yeah, like bullshit, you don't remember." And then he was like, "Oh yes, I remember you. You were a vegetarian." To my friend, and I was like,
way.
"What?" Like I did not put that on the booking. So yeah, it was very sweet, good hospitality, great cocktails as well, and they kept giving us shots, which was fun at the time and less fun the next day. But yeah, oh my god, if you've not been to Lisbon, it's just
it's a great city.
a great city.
Nice. Harriet, what have you been up to?
Very little, to be honest. The only thing we've done is go to the Hockney exhibition.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that big installation, supposedly one. I really don't know how I feel about those, though.
So this is the big, like, projected Hockney. Okay.
Yeah. I think for kids, it's amazing because it makes this stuff, like, really exciting. But this sounds really snobby. If you know a bit about art or the artist, then I think it's a bit...
I think it is... You might have to say that a little louder.
Well, I didn't want to. It's a bit naff, I think.
I think it's probably... I think it's probably designed for people who otherwise wouldn't go and see an exhibition, right? Like, it is for children or for...
I think it's entry level, which again sounds really snobby, but I don't mean it like that. I think it's great to get more people interested.
Sure.
But I think I go to quite a lot, and I felt like for me, I was just like, they've just blown these up onto the wall. Like,
But I also think even, it might just be that you find exhibitions boring or whatever, you don't like the crowds or whatever it might be. So I guess it's just a slightly more engaging way to see art.
The crowds is a good point, actually, because I went to something very traditional not too long ago at the National Gallery, which was like an impressionism thing. And it's like anything now. You're stood behind like 15 rows of tourists who all have their iPhones out and are doing like selfies next to the paintings. And you're just like, I'm not really sure this is like what this is all about. Whereas this, because it's so gigantic, you don't get that vibe at all. It's busy, don't get me wrong. But like, obviously you're sort of free to walk around the space and just feel like immersed in it rather than like looking at one particular thing. So yeah, I think that's probably a benefit.
I guess there's probably an argument that like who's to say how anyone should, and I know you're not saying this, but you know, who's to say how anyone should consume art? If there's a way that makes it accessible to people, then isn't that quite cool? Yeah. Okay, but not for you.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll rush, especially if it's like something super traditional. I think there's a Van Gogh one that's like touring on a world tour at the moment, and if that comes here, I'm not sure I'm going to bother. But, you know, I can totally understand why if you have little kids, they'll absolutely love it.
Yeah. It looks like something you can roll on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
Or a date. I think that's quite fun. If you want like something a bit different.
For a date.
Like a fun
date.
that's
a really good
date. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next time we need a date. Excellent. Has anyone watched anything good? Polly, you watched The Whale.
I finally got round to watching The Whale, yes.
What did you think?
I actually loved it.
Did you really? That's
which because I feel like sometimes a lot of these like quite critically acclaimed films I end up not really enjoying, thinking that it's either a bit slow or like not worth the hype. But it's obviously like an incredibly harrowing watch and very sad. But I just found the ending so beautiful that I like really blubbed so much. I kind of felt like it was just really well done and very sort of sensitive and gut-wrenching is probably like a really good way to describe it. And yeah, I haven't seen a film that has been so well received sort of critically like that I have also enjoyed that much in a long time. I really liked it.
Emma was talking about it a few weeks ago and wasn't convinced, but I feel like it's probably one of those things where it totally depends on like your mood and the time of day and just like how immersed you can actually be.
I felt like I watched it on a Sunday evening, a little bit hungover, a little bit sensitive and like ready for a cry.
Okay,
so
and
I felt like I was at a good point to receive it. I would really recommend it actually.
Okay, nice. Harriet?
I haven't really been watching anything that I'd recommend, but did anyone else listen to Sofia Amoroso on Diary of a CEO?
No, I've seen it, but no, I saw the headline, which is like, I used to be a stripper, and then for those who don't know, she's the founder of Nasty Gal.
Nasty Gal.
Okay.
Is it good?
It's a wild ride.
Really?
It is a wild ride.
Do you remember the TV show they made about her? What was that called? It was a really good series.
What was that called? It was with
It wasn't called Wild Child, but it was something like that.
Something like that.
Girl Boss was the name of the series.
Girl Boss was the name of the series, yes. And she references it quite heavily in the interview because she basically says like that was like the worst moment in her life because, and I didn't quite understand the timing of this back then, but I think it came out around 2016, 17, something like that. Basically, Nasty Gal went bankrupt like the week before.
I think I did know that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when she talks about it, it starts to feel more familiar again. But weirdly, this was in my last job when I used to cover like retail markets, like from a business point of view. And I can remember talking to the Boohoo like board when they bought it, basically out of insolvency for like a couple of quid. And obviously now, today, the site is like completely different to what she intended it to be. What a colourful life. I mean, she sort of grew up in suburbia and it's all like quite sort of white picket fence, but not. As in typical suburbia, as in like behind the scenes, it's not quite as perfect as you'd think it would be. Her parents' marriage was quite unhappy and they did eventually divorce, and she was a real rebel, and it's quite inspiring to listen to in the sense that she talks a lot even today about like not fitting into molds, like not wanting to settle down, wanting to keep pushing boundaries and stuff like that. But you do sort of feel like, is she just sort of quite one of those people who's like destined not to be very happy?
If you're always a rebel without a cause, perhaps.
Yeah, but she's this is so stupid, but it makes me think of that number in Hamilton about
Satisfied.
Yes.
Okay,
I knew you would know what I was talking about.
I mean, you're talking about satisfaction. It's a clear link.
Yeah,
okay.
But that is the vibe.
She'll never be
She'll
satisfied.
never be satisfied. So yeah, I really recommend it as a listen, because as a business founder, she is not like typical in any sense.
So what does she do now?
So she still runs. Girl Boss is like a separate empire now.
Right.
So what also happened at the same time as the TV series is her book came out, and the book was like wildly successful. I'm sure we all remember that like pink cover.
Yes, I remember that book.
Do you remember? Yeah. And she's got like a black bob on the cover. She now looks completely different. She's got like long blonde hair. But yeah, so the book was wildly successful, and that helped her spawn basically like a Girl Boss organisation, which now does basically outreach. You can sort of be a member of it, and then she does like forums and gives advice and goes to like universities and speaks and things like that. So from what I can tell on this podcast, that is still a raging success. Okay. Having listened to this podcast, I'm not sure I'll be taking business advice from her, is all I'd say.
A little hectic.
Yeah, a bit hectic.
Okay.
But I mean, she's a hustler, put it that way, and she certainly got this particular business off the ground. But then it is interesting, actually, she talks to Stephen Bartlett quite candidly, they both do, about making massive mistakes, overspending, and they talk about what their first purchases were, and like spending investor capital when you're not supposed to spend investor capital and stuff like this. I mean, Stephen Bartlett, I don't think he used investor capital, but he says like when his company made his first profit, the first thing he bought was a giant blue slide for the office.
I mean, he was about 22 or something, wasn't he? Yeah.
They were well, and this is what they bond over, the fact that they were both extremely young when they became successful.
Blue slide. I don't think we're going to see any blue slides and shit.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, something tells me no.
Okay, fascinating. Worth listening. Sherry, what about you?
So I haven't been watching much TV, but I've been reading quite a lot, and I've been into a new book called Reach for the Stars by music journalist called Matthew Cragg, who writes for The Guardian, etc. And it's all about, honestly, so up my street.
It's about S Club. Is it? Yeah. That it's a reference to the S Club song.
It is indeed, and it's about Britpop and kind of like late 90s, early noughties, and he interviews all the bands. Like,
oh my god!
Like Sugar Babes, Spice Girls, Atomic Kitten, Five, Bewitched.
So
the whole book,
it's the golden age.
What an era!
Honestly, what an era. But he makes a really good point in the first like intro, saying that there's been so much dialogue and literature about like, you know, like indie music and rock music, and like popular music has been kind of left out of that.
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily deemed something worth like cultural analysis.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, but it is. So it's really interesting, and it's all these bands, he talks to them firsthand. It's all just one massive interview of each of them, and it touches on, you know, how the bands were formed. So you hear about like the Spice Girls, how they came together, what their dynamic was like when they were living in that house together. So nostalgic. And then you also hear about some of the bad sides of the industry, like for example, S Club didn't get paid for a long time.
Really?
Lots of managers took advantage because they were really young when they were in these bands. And if you think of like S Club juniors who were children, so they're in the book as well. And it talks about people like Mutia from the Sugar Babes and Jamila of I don't know what it is. Fame.
But she's on Loose Women these days, though.
She
is.
Wow,
but they talk about how they face a lot of racism and prejudice, etc. So it's kind of like the highs and the lows. But if you're into that kind of music,
that sounds so good.
It's so nostalgic. I'm only a couple of chapters in, but I'm hooked.
I can't remember if I read it, something recently that, you know, when something is kind of like a penny drop moment, and they were saying, you know how obviously we all grew up with, I assume we all grew up with parents who said that your music is rubbish, you know, our generation's music is the best. And obviously I think, you know, it's a running joke that generationally everybody thinks their music is the best. And it was a commentary on how you basically get stuck in this period of nostalgia. So in your teenage years, or your kind of early teenage, your tweenage to teenage years, you are obviously so impressionable that anything that is cultural at that time that you love becomes this like deep rooted nostalgia, and that's why everybody thinks their generation's music is the best, because it's the association and it's that attachment to that time in your life, which I just thought explained a lot.
Yes,
it kind of makes a lot of sense when you think,
explanation,
isn't it?
It makes sense, complete sense.
It explains why we still love S Club music and why my dad still thinks it's like the worst thing he's ever heard, you know, and why probably our children would think the same.
But then interestingly, like I do listen to music before my time, and I'm like, they don't make that like they used to.
So do I, but I don't listen to a whole lot of music after my time. I don't know about you. I don't like a little bit, but I probably stop in about 2012. Like in terms of my Spotify.
So you don't listen to current pop chart?
No, I don't. Do not ask me. I know we love that song. What's that? Becky Hill. That one.
Oh
yeah.
I
like that.
That's the one song.
That is the one post 2012 banger. Shout out to Becky Hill. You're my gal.
Signed off by Charlotte Collins.
Didn't Becky Hill come off The Voice?
Did she?
I know. I didn't know this until like 2 days ago.
I'm confused by her status because she performed on Love Island last year.
Yeah, she did, didn't she?
But then equally she has like duetted with a lot of like very famous people.
She's like, quite big time.
Quite big. So
I
I'm
know.
just confused by.
But this is what I mean. Then someone said, "Oh, she's off The Voice." I'm like, "You are joking."
Yeah.
There's no way someone does stuff with Ed Sheeran who came off The Voice.
I mean,
but she's very
not they weren't The Voice, but you know, people do good things post talent shows.
I feel like she. 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 I feel she's like talented. Like she's
Yeah, she can. She can really sing.
Yeah, definitely.
Can I tell you how I really knew? I can't remember. This might have happened quite far into our relationship, so I can't say that I knew that Ben was the one for me. But that like this definitely helps. Was that he loves a bit of Westlife and like a good power ballad. And and there's a song.
He'll be absolutely
loud and proud. And there was a so David Snedden won the first, maybe the second series of Fame Academy.
What a
Do
name.
you remember Fame Academy?
Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Oh, I used to love Fame Academy.
Right.
That was elite.
That was elite, and that was like there was nothing else like it. That was Fame Academy. For those listening, who
There were
don't
loads
know,
of things like
no,
it.
Fame Academy came first.
Yeah, before like Pop Stars, The Rivals.
Long before
like,
before Pop Stars, before
Yeah,
any
yeah,
of
Fame
it. And
Academy.
so David
Richie.
Snedden had a song called "Stop Living a Lie," which is
remember
not
that.
available on Spotify. This is how niche it is. You have to go to YouTube. Yeah, and I know every word to that song because it is genuinely like a really good like naughty song, and Ben did too.
Oh,
I know, meant to
That's
be.
very
I think you guys are
There you
probably
go.
So
meant
niche.
for
There's
each
also,
other.
do you
Song
remember
notes.
One True Voice, who you've sent me on a spiral now?
I
Yes.
remember.
So One True Voice won Pop Stars The Rivals alongside Girls Aloud.
Did
Obviously,
they beat Girls Aloud?
no, there was a boy winner and a girl winner. So Girls Aloud were the girls
No,
winner.
I think you might be wrong. I feel like they went head to head, like they formed these groups, and then one actually won it, but then they both got to like release a single.
Oh,
No,
really?
I think it was, sorry, I disagree. I think it was, obviously all the contestants made the bands,
Yeah.
whatever that was, because if you watch it on YouTube, honestly, the nostalgia of watching the
amazing.
girls get into Girls Aloud,
Oh,
and
Cheryl.
Also, Sherri, go on the Cheryl.
it gets
Yeah.
you right in here, because Javine was a far better singer than most of them.
Sorry, none of them. No offense, I know you love Cheryl Cole, but their auditions.
No, we both love Cheryl,
shocked
but she
me.
can't sing.
No, I would say Nadine Coyle has vocals. She
Yeah, she
carried
does.
that
Yeah,
band.
she does.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But Javine was better than
No.
certainly Nicola.
Yeah,
And
True.
anyway, so
but Nicola was like 16. They were young.
They were really
Right,
young, yeah.
So all the girls make the cut, all the boys make the cut,
Yeah.
and then the competition was they both released singles, and it was who would get the
Oh,
Christmas
Yes,
you're
number
that's
one.
what-
right.
that's what it was,
Yes,
yeah.
you are.
And
right.
Girls Aloud, Sound of the Underground.
What a song?
Best
Iconic.
song.
And theirs was
One of the
all
best
time.
songs.
Has
of
it-
Top
that
10.
decade.
What was their one?
The One True
No,
Voice.
like,
I follow my heart. Sacred Trust. Yeah.
Sacred Trust.
As far
in
as the
me.
eye can see.
What's a
it's
banger?
Real
Like-
tune. Real tune. That was what I was getting
I remember
to.
the music video, like here now. Like I can't remember last week, but I can remember the music videos from the early noughties, like yesterday.
Oh yeah, Sound of the Underground.
100%,
There,
yeah.
you know.
With
slip
Snap.
and
Do you know the
slide,
one
yeah.
I was obsessed with was Samantha Mumba?
Oh my
Oh,
god,
God, yeah.
yeah. What's that? How does that song go again?
I'm a terrible singer, so I don't want to do it. I used to go to this ice disco at my local leisure centre, and they used to play it. Yeah. And they used to play it all the time. The boys from the local school would come. I went to a girls' school. We'd mix. Oh, what a Friday night!
I'll always come back to
Yeah.
your love. Yes.
Sorry to everyone listening.
There's some young girls in the room who are like, "What the fuck are
I
they talking about?"
know.
These are not
As well as
songs.
some older women listening who are thinking, "Stop."
Yeah.
And now I'm out.
So many.
Okay. In conclusion, a book worth reading.
Absolutely.
Love
yeah.
that. We can't not talk about Sofia Richie's wedding.
Oh my god,
No.
yeah.
We're going to talk about the fashion. We're going to talk about all of it. But
Lots of photos.
I'm personally just so impressed with the launching of a fashion icon in the space of 3 days.
Yes, it's been just completely like
Overnight.
Yes, like
Yes.
an overnight success. But like I think I saw Dr. Ewoma posting like some kind of like stream of consciousness about her like transformation from like the way she dressed dating Scott Disick versus now, and how she's just kind of like she used to be quite a sort of sex kitten, like very tight, very bodycon, and now she's just kind of like chic, refined,
Very Chanel.
and like all of her gowns were custom Chanel. Is that
Yeah,
right?
all
Three gowns.
Well, all three of the wedding dresses.
All
Yeah.
three of the wedding dress. I'm loving the little short one.
The short one is mega.
Let's go
Yeah.
through. Okay, so there was the Friday night rehearsal, which was the white with the high neck. And
I mean,
the
I love that
beading.
too.
Beautiful.
I think that's my favourite. With
Is
the
it?
two, it
Yeah.
was 2 tiered.
This one.
Yeah,
Or the-
that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
With a
It is
straight
gorgeous.
background. Then
Yeah.
there's the wedding dress itself, which is a lace halter neck.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
weirdly is my least favourite.
I would say it's my least.
I don't
least
like a
favourite as
halter
well.
neck very much.
No.
She still looks amazing.
She
though.
looks
She looks
Yeah.
amazing,
Amazing.
don't get me wrong, and I'm sure the quality is impeccable. But to me, it just felt a bit basic, really.
I think she was always going to go classic and simple
Yeah.
and quite like regal as well.
Yeah.
And then there's the little mini dress with the flower.
Which I just think
Yeah,
is
amazing.
beyond.
I love it, but I think it's a daytime dress. It's a strange after party dress to me.
Yeah, and
Do
the
you think?
shoes as well.
I think it's like
Very
what you wear to your
classic, but-
civil.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I kind of like. Yeah, I agree
I think
on the
it works for
shoes.
both.
I feel like if she wore like a slightly more fun shoe, I think it's evening.
Yeah.
I think she did. Is that the try on? Yeah, I think she wore a more fun shoe.
Oh, okay.
And
Oh, did
I
she?
saw she had her hair in a ponytail, not a veil, and so
Yeah.
it was a bit more
Oh, okay.
dressed
Yeah.
down. But obviously Chanel custom made the whole thing, all three dresses.
Love that for her.
Have you guys, I don't know if you've seen the video Vogue did. I mean, it was also perfectly timed because like the minute she walked down the aisle, then Vogue like drops all of this content across everything.
I need to know like who's working the behind the scenes on it though, because as you say, like her look before Scott Disick era doesn't say Chanel to me. So who has got her in there?
Wow.
Do you think it's just a question of Lionel Richie dropping the cash?
No.
I just think it's her PR team.
I agree, it's branding.
Like, she launches this TikTok like
okay, this might be the key.
This week, and it was like, this is what I'm getting, how I'm getting ready. This is my wedding looks. It's quite Hailey Bieber-esque in its content, even though they're
it's very raw.
Yeah, exactly, very different. So I think it's completely. I mean, good for her. She looks amazing, and this is the time to rebrand yourself.
I so agree.
I think it's really.
It's like a considered branding exercise. Yeah.
Is she? So I have to say, she's not someone who has really crossed my mind before this week. Like, I don't really watch the Kardashians. I don't really know much about them and her association. I know that she just dates or was married to. I don't know.
No,
just dated Scott Disick. Dated. But like, I feel like she's just suddenly come out of nowhere because of this wedding situation, and this rebranding feels very like, like we said, overnight. Like, do you know who she is?
Yeah,
or, like,
I
didn't
think
know?
I do.
So I follow
Okay,
her.
fair
I
enough.
followed her for this, but only because she's. It's not overnight. Like she broke up with Scott Disick probably like I don't know 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah, a few years ago. So and since she wasn't like super trashy, she was just a bit more Kardashian-y. And I feel like in the last few years, like if you've happened to see her Instagram, like I followed her because she has been much chicer than that, and she's been a bit of she's
board.
I think you should give her a stalk. Like she's been a bit more of a kind of Chanel darling over the last few years. Like her and Nicole were at Couture Week. Like there's definitely been
polish
going
into it, like very gradually. Like there's even a photo of her in one of the Vogue articles where she's sort of kneeling down inspecting one of the dresses, and her hair is like straight back into this bun, and I'm just like, you are so beautiful.
She's flawless.
She really is. Yeah, really
like
beautiful.
she's the best jawline I've ever seen. Like as someone who's quite self-conscious of their jawline, I'm really envious.
Great jawline.
No, but hers is just so chiseled. Like it's literally so perfect.
I mean, there might be help that goes into that,
but
but also I wonder if it's got to do with the fact that her fiance is a little bit older and she's converted to Judaism to marry him.
Can I just have but I've got a big
go.
issue with this. Okay, so she converted to Judaism, and from what we've seen on the weddings, they had a Jewish wedding. There was a huppah, the thing you get married under. They all wore, kippot, which cover your head. But they got married on a Saturday. In Judaism, you can't get married on a Saturday. So I don't know who this rabbi is who married them.
Only a Sunday.
Interesting.
Well, any other day of the week, but you can't get married on Shabbat, on the Sabbath.
Oh, right.
A bit like how
That's
you
a big,
would have a Christian wedding on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Like you just can't. So you could find an incredibly liberal rabbi, perhaps, who would do. I mean, that's obviously what they've done. But I've got just a bit of there was some flex there.
She
it's
did
all very
post-
nice that she posted she's converted to Judaism.
Yeah, she did
There's no
post
religiousness going on.
quite a mature thing about the conversion though, and it felt quite. Yeah, it just felt really like
it felt
special.
Like she's really taken to it and
really serious. She said it's been like the most transformational experience of her life and stuff.
Interesting. Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's nice to hear. Good press for Judaism.
Yeah, woohoo. We need some. But also, can we just talk about the fashion throughout the week as well? Because so like the get ready with me videos was, and I saw like a marketing expert on TikTok actually saying like this whole Hailey Bieber does it, but like this whole she's got over 8 million followers. So and she's obviously famous as well, she's got very famous father. Like she's not just an influencer who's built out of her own merit. It's like
Nepo baby,
right? Nepo baby.
Yeah.
But in a nice way, like not meant nastily. So to have that kind of raw access to somebody of that status is really unusual. And like in these get ready with me videos, like she's doing her makeup, she's doing her hair, she's putting on the whole outfit, and like. I mean, it could all be a load of rubbish. It could not be real, but it feels really raw and really real. It's really worth a
I have
watch.
to say, I haven't seen any of her TikTok content. Now I sound like a real.
Give her a store. That's funny though, because it's all I've got on TikTok.
it's
it's
like
all I saw
all
at
of
the
it.
wedding.
Yeah, all of it.
Interesting.
But the blue Kate dress. Did you see this?
No.
Come on, get your phone out. It's on Instagram as well. She wore this a Kate dress. It was kind of like a pale blue chiffon. Again,
No way,
high
I
neck,
did see that. Wait, hang on,
long
did
sleeves.
I?
It's just so demure.
Yeah.
It's just she's 23 and she's really bridged that gap between being so demure and chic and classy while still feeling young and fresh. Like, what is that?
Oh, this.
Yeah. And it's not flawless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I did.
Oh yeah, amazing. See, that is very Hailey Bieber-esque. She
Yeah.
wore a very similar dress to, I think it was the Met Gala a few years ago.
Yeah, she does wear a lot of Kate as well.
Yeah.
You're right, there are shades of Hailey. But then I do think all that, like, did you see on the day before, clearly I have to stalk this wedding, but on the day, I think it was the day before, she wore a little tweed, I can't remember what the brand was, it wasn't Chanel.
This.
Yes, that. Who's the stylist?
Yeah,
Who's she
who's
tagged?
that?
Oh, was it Jamie? Is it Sweet Baby Jamie?
The stylist?
Yeah.
No, Liat Baruch.
Oh, yeah, she did tag her. Yeah, random.
Sorry if
I
I
don't know
butchered
her.
that pronunciation. Can we
Yeah.
also talk about, this is Posse, the label, right?
Is it Posse?
Yeah, and I imagine for them, so Posse is like an Australian, quite small label, and she wore this kind of like waistcoat and skirt
Cool.
set. I imagine for them, in their offices, like,
Explosion. Yeah, amazing. They're on
Insane.
Moda, so I assume that would be the
okay,
connection.
maybe.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to buy that. She looks amazing.
Everyone wants to buy that.
This is a bit of a detour, but it is related. So, do you guys know who Gab Waller is?
No.
She's kind of like a personal shopper to the stars, and she has become quite relatively famous for the fact that she can track down anything.
Oh, I do know who this girl is.
Yeah,
I've seen
Rosie
yeah,
Huntington
yeah,
Whiteley
tags her all the time. Yeah.
tagged her for a Celine coat
Yeah.
from like 4 seasons ago.
The one
and
that
she-
said it had writing all over it. I remember.
and she found it for her, and that's what sort of sent her stratospheric. Anyway, I was watching an interview with her over the weekend, and she was saying that the Hailey Bieber effect, and I think this will start to happen with Sofia Richie now, is she'll know when Hailey's worn something because of what happens on her phone in terms of inquiries. So she'll suddenly have like 10 requests for the same acne bomber, and it's because she'll just know. She's like, oh, Hailey's obviously worn it.
Interesting. I wonder what Sophia's going to do next. Like, it's obviously the beginning of a plan. She's
Yeah.
creative director of Nude Sticks. Did you know that? You
No.
know the,
I was
yeah.
I was gonna say, what does she do?
Yeah, well, it's creative
Yeah.
director of Nude Sticks.
She didn't create it. She's been brought in.
A girl called Taylor Frankel is the founder. But yeah, she's been brought on, I think, relatively recently as
Cool.
creative director. So not
Her beauty
entirely
aesthetic is a perfect fit for that brand, though.
flawless. Like she literally, when you watch, I saw someone do a stitch fix on what's it called? A stitch on what's Stitch Fix? That's a brand.
God, we're so millennial.
That's an alteration service.
Not that. I saw someone do a stitch on TikTok where she was doing her makeup, and the stitch was like, I love when insanely beautiful people do their makeup, and they're like, just like a dab here.
Like, done.
And then
She makes fun of Hailey Bieber quite a lot, doesn't she?
Yeah.
'Cause she says, I'm just going to get ready for date night. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's so annoying. It's like, you're so fucking beautiful. Anyway, but yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled on what she's up to next. But anyway, I think she's probably
one to
like,
watch.
yeah, and just killed it on the wedding
Yeah,
front.
she
If you need
did.
wedding inspo,
Yeah, epic.
she's the gal. All right, let's do some questions before we end. Somebody has said, ideas for summer interview outfits, please. I mean, you're not going to need them anytime soon, but the first thing actually that sprung to mind was just that Posse look.
For an interview?
Yeah.
What kind of interview?
I was going to say, not
Is
a
it
banking
Not-
job.
No,
Yeah.
all right, well.
Well, sorry not to shoot you down.
If you're
but,
coming
like,
Sherlock to interview, I would
Yeah.
be impressed with that outfit. But yes, that's fair. It depends on the industry.
Yeah.
What do you think, Polly?
I think I would wear a pair of white tailored trousers because smart but feels a bit more summery,
Yeah.
and then maybe like a boyfriend shirt, like a striped one,
Cool.
with some big earrings. Like, I don't know if you're doing fashion, maybe.
Yeah. I feel like linen, you can't go wrong. Linen separates. Like, you could do a linen blazer, you could do linen trousers. Like, you want to be covered up.
Oh, I don't know. I
don't know, I feel like
disagree. I
creasy.
feel like it's like
Oh, but I don't mean like beach linen. I mean like structured linen.
I'd probably
like
stick-
lace linen, not like...
Yeah. I'd probably stick with trousers and try and make sure whatever you're wearing on the top half wouldn't crease.
Yeah.
Just because then when you're sitting at a desk or whatever, you still look
Yeah.
quite sort of polished. But then the bottom says seasonally appropriate
Yeah.
when you sort of come in and leave.
I think in summer you can do a crisp white shirt and a pair of linen trousers.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah.
I think actually that works for any industry.
And then
Yeah.
I think we should talk about shoes because people always get stressed about like summer work shoes.
Yes.
And, like, what's cool? What can I wear? I guess like loafers is always the like obvious choice, but maybe if you don't want something quite that masculine, like a backless pointed flat.
Yeah,
would you wear
really
that
nice.
to like?
We've
to
got
work?
that. We've got a pair of Nicholas Kirkwood backless
Yes.
pointed flats that
Honestly,
have knocked about this office for about 6
They've
years.
been through a lot. Those
They're the
shoes.
perfect shoe.
Yeah.
They are
They
the
really
perfect summer shoe. They are white, pointy, backless. mule.
Yeah, and like
Chic.
just very chic. Yeah.
Very chic.
Nice.
Yeah, and just don't wear trainers.
No,
The
not
umpteenth
to an
time.
interview.
Stop
Yeah.
wearing trainers to interviews.
Yeah.
Please. I'm a maid of honour this summer. What's a cool wedding present for my best friend? Are you a bridesmaid this summer? Have I made that up?
Next
am.
summer, yeah, I'm
Next
maid of
summer.
honour. Yeah, next
Oh,
summer.
that's exciting.
Nice.
A cool present for
My best friend, for the bride.
For the bride.
the bride.
Oh gosh, I'm also a bridesmaid this summer for my best friend, and I'm going to get her some nice champagne flutes. I hope she's not listening. I don't think she is, but some nice glassware. I think if they don't already have that, some lovely like champagne flutes. I think she will like that.
That's a nice present.
Yeah.
That also, I feel like
Nice.
that can work whether it's your best friend or whether it's someone you don't really know what to buy for. Like
Yeah.
that's
Is
quite
that a bit
solid.
impersonal? I don't know.
Well,
Like,
it's a
No,
solid
that's really
choice
nice,
of
yeah.
gift.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got her a few other things, but for like on the day and whatever, like don't know, it's nice to
Yeah.
get something for their house together.
Yeah, that's a
nice.
great wedding present.
Yeah.
Any ideas, Sherry?
I think Gigi and Olive have some really nice bits. Sophie Habu and Jamie Lang got married, was it last week?
Yeah.
I've been following that very
Oh,
closely, I
God.
have to say.
So invested.
Really
I
invested. I think her veil was...
Loved her outfit. I
Yeah.
think
She looked incredible.
Amazing.
She did.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
yes, you're right.
agree.
Gigi
I think
and
her
Olive.
veil was from there. So I had a little look
It
on the
was.
website. They've got so many sweet stuff,
Yeah.
like, you know, caps or anything for a hen do. Or I did see, it was actually Tor's recommendation, some little handkerchiefs, and they have embroidered on them happy tears.
Yes.
And I was like, that's really
sweet.
sweet.
Yeah, they're really nice.
That's
Sweet, yeah.
really adorable.
Yeah, bride or like mother of the bride.
Yeah.
I was like, that's so sweet.
That's
Yeah, they
very
do.
sweet.
Do you know, it really is like a
One-stop
shop.
Yeah.
Look for bridal gifting. It really
Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
is. Someone has said how to deal with feeling unmotivated and how to stay motivated in and out of work.
Unmotivated about work.
I assume so, but I think just generally in and out of work. So unmotivated and how to
I
stay
think you need
motivated.
to make some changes, babe.
Yeah.
Like, if you feel, I always find unmotivation stems from feeling bored with what you are doing. So you don't necessarily need to, like, you know, throw in the towel, quit your job, break up with your boyfriend, whatever. But just like introduce something new into your life. I think to get you excited. Whether that's a new hobby or I don't know, like if you're in a relationship, trying some new dates, or if you're in work and you hate it, maybe it is time to have a conversation with your bosses about like what more you can be doing, or if they can't give you anything, then maybe it's time to look elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree with that. Harry?
Yeah. I have to say it's such a like worthy piece of advice, but anytime I'm feeling a bit like just like lifeless, I try very hard to get back into an exercise regime. I know that's like a thing
No,
that everyone
so
on,
right.
this,
True.
on this podcast is going to be like, oh gosh,
No,
but
right.
I think it's like actually an ancient proverb that's something about like if you want to change your life, move your feet or something. And
Totally
I do
agree.
sort of subscribe to that. Every time I start sort of prioritizing my well-being a bit,
Yeah.
I do feel different about things, and it gives you a bit of confidence, it gives you a bit more energy.
Yeah, it really does.
It really does.
true.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, exercise really does work.
I know. Damn it.
Oh, I so right. I hate because I'm in a real like no exercise place currently, and I really hate that. I know that's to be true, and
Yeah.
it's really annoying. You sort
I mean,
of
what I
wish-
will say is it doesn't mean like start going to spin or hit or
No.
any of that really
be
intense
anything.
stuff if that's not for you. I don't do any of that. I do reform Pilates.
Yeah,
and
I
that's
think
about it.
That's nice.
it's so important to find something that you enjoy, because
Yeah.
if you hate going to a HIIT class, then don't do it. Like, you just won't end up going. But you know, I feel like in a good space with my
Yeah.
like exercise routine because I like what I do. So yeah, I know a few people have started doing fluid form.
Yeah, I love fluid form.
Pilates.
really?
Yeah, I'm
Obviously
signed up to it, yeah.
Bryony Deary as well, all online kind of thing. And yeah, I feel like I might give that a go as well, because people seem to be raving about it's like 20 minutes a day. So it's
Yeah.
not like you have to commit a full hour. Everyone could do 20 minutes.
good.
And
So true.
yeah, good for your brain and good for your body.
But do you think does that 20 minutes make that sort of impact that you're talking about?
Yeah, but it is woven in with other things.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the most transformative things I did, and people on here will know, when we moved to this new office, my commute, even though I live so near compared to a lot of people, I think that was part of the problem. It was still taking me like over an hour to get home in the evenings because the bus route is just unbearable. So I just started walking.
Yeah, that's so good.
And it's exercise, and I don't worry on those days about doing fluid form or anything else on top.
Yeah.
But then Wednesdays and Fridays I'll do fluid form, and then
That's really
Saturday I go
nice.
to a Reformer Pilates like studio to do that properly. So it's all like bits and bobs
Yeah.
throughout the week, and none of it feels like an exercise regime.
Yeah.
Like I used to do loads of hit and spin back in the day, and it just did nothing for me.
Yeah.
Sorry
That's
if
really
you
good
like that sort of
advice.
thing,
No,
but
no,
I love
Yeah.
HIIT, but as I
Yeah.
said, it's finding out what works for you.
Yeah.
And I love it, but I completely understand that it's not for everyone.
yeah,
I love the
yeah.
effects of hair. I just hated doing it.
It just
Yeah,
became a really
you
like
have to
really
negative
gear yourself
cycle.
up to
Yeah,
get into the
it's the
headspace.
mental like
Yeah.
build up to it that I
Yeah.
just used to
Yeah.
torture myself with.
Yeah.
I didn't really enjoy doing it, and yeah, you feel amazing
Yeah, I
afterwards.
just
You're
hated
like
every second of
superwoman,
it.
but like the rest of it just wasn't.
Yeah.
I just actually would love to never jump ever again.
Yeah, no.
Like I just actually don't need to
No.
ever do any form of jumping.
No.
I'm 32. That's my jumping days are over.
Yeah, me too.
Like skipping, when you have to jump on a big
Burpees,
box,
nothing,
burpees,
no.
Oh, burpees
Yeah.
do
jumping
suck,
in and
yeah.
out like in a mountain climbing
No.
position.
No.
Don't think we're
No.
supposed to jump, really.
No,
We all
I
need
really wasn't built for jumping.
Yeah.
That's so true. Sherri, what do you do when you're not feeling motivated?
Just something really simple, like write things down. Like if I'm feeling like really like crappy or whatever, I'll just write it down. Then often I'll look back at it and be like, whoa, what was going on here?
You okay, hon?
Yeah, you okay? And then equally like writing down like goals, mini things, like a bit of manifesting. I don't really know how it works, but you know,
Write it down.
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Lucky girl syndrome. Try
Yeah.
that. See if it works for you.
Yeah.
Positive. I think positive affirmations will only breed positivity.
Damn right. Change your mindset.
What about you, Charlotte? What do you do?
Do you know what, when you were talking about, when you were talking about just doing something new or incorporating something new into your routine, I was thinking about cooking because like, I was out every single evening last week and it just sends me into just like a
tailspin.
Just like it's just not, it's so bad for me mentally. And so I'm so looking forward to a week of like, you know, not just cooking, but also like tonight I found a recipe on Instagram and I'm going to do the recipe on Instagram. And you know, when like you've got something to look forward to in the evening and it's like, it's better for you as well. Everything in life is better if you're just like cooking more nutritious meals, I think, even just a couple of times a week.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
that's sort of, that just helps then reset everything. Is a bit like exercise
Yeah,
as well.
it's just like
True.
nourishing yourself first
Exactly.
and not necessarily thinking like massive picture, like jacking in jobs and relationships. It's just like, what can I do for me to make myself feel a bit better and
just
then take stock of the situation.
Totally agree. And also to make it feel like every day is that bit more interesting if you do feel a bit in a rut. So
Yeah.
okay, lots of good advice. All right, I think we'll leave it there. Thanks everybody. Thank you for listening. If you have any feedback, please do email podcast@sheerluxe.com. We love hearing from you. Don't forget also to rate, review, subscribe and tell your friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.